Okay, a bit of a break last week because I was at the Lincoln Steampunk Festival, which thousands of people attended. I was exhibiting in one of the venues there. I've been doing that, actually exhibiting there since 2013, and all of my work started there actually in 2012. So it was quite a weekend. It was 5 days of standing, talking to people. So you're lucky I've actually got a voice. I can actually talk this week. I will talk about that probably at the end, and I'll talk about what else I've got currently going on, things that are happening too. But got a great artist for you this week, and very strangely, we seem to be in part of the same sort of groups with Flux and Artisan Collective, and also an old one which was the Cult House. So we seem to be in the same groups. But funny enough, we didn't really meet at the Flux exhibition, even though my guest was there. And she probably would have seen me because I was walking around with a great big pair of wings on my back. So she would have seen me at some point. But as usual, I've created a video of her work to introduce her to you. So here we go.
No way.
So there you go. I told it was good. It's amazing that in all of these interviews I've done, I've never had anybody doing the same thing, and tonight is no exception. So what I'm going to do is just start with a quote from Shelley's website, which is, "Art provokes emotion within people. That's the whole point. When I'm creating, it provokes an emotion and feeling during the process. People see my pieces and go, 'That's me.' They find a connection and they find a story within it." So, Shelley, how true is that?
It's as true as you want it to be fair.
Yeah,
I think
it
so.
is.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? How you get people that come to exhibitions. Some people will walk past without even stopping, and others will talk to you for ages because they really want to understand what it is you do. Now, I did say to you before we started that music had a bit of had erotic in the title, because you have got some, let's just say, some saucy images. That's probably the best way of
Yeah.
describing it. Yeah, let's say some saucy images. It looks like your internet's playing up a little bit because you're jumping about a bit, but we'll kind of hope that settles down a bit. So first of all, it says on your website that you were self-taught. So when did you start? What was it that you thought, you know what, this is kind of what I want to do with my life?
I think so I got a background in graphic design anyway, and I think that when my father had was basically a wood carver, so he had lots of little tools to carve with. And basically when he passed away, I found a whole sort of like shed full of bits and pieces of tools which I had a go at. I thought, what are these things? You know, they're sort of like really short, stubby little sort of tools. And I basically sort of started playing around with them, and then I found out they were linocut tools, and started to basically cut my fingers quite a lot. I didn't actually start off with erotic sort of art in the first instance. It was things like carving magpies and carving fields and carving cats and dogs and that kind of thing. And it was, you know, a lot of it was quite folksy. And I've always like painted anyway. But then I kind of it wasn't till lockdown whereby I actually carved basically a piece called Night In, and it was the Stiletto Hills. And ever since then, people have gone, "Oh, I really like that. Have you got any more?" It's quite saucy. I mean, Night In was all about, you know, we can't go out anywhere, so we have to dress up, basically sort of like to stay in. So it's you have a night in. That's basically what a lot of people were doing. They were doing like discos in the kitchen and, you know, parties online sort of thing and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where that came from, really. So that was the first erotic piece, if you like. And then it just went on from there. Everybody was like, "Have you got any more? Have you got any more?" So it just grew.
Right, your internet connection is playing up quite a bit because all your sound and everything's out. So, if could you just log off and
Mm.
log back on again? I'll keep everybody happy while you're doing that, and we'll give it another try because it's very stuttery and it's not doing you any favors. So
You want
just
me to do me
log
a
off.
favour? Okay, no worries.
Okay, so while Shelley logs off and logs back on again, I will just talk to you and show you this because so what that is 10 years work basically of getting a 12-minute short is going to be made of what is my story. For those of people who don't know, I've got a 450 image steampunk story that is basically going to be a 12-minute film. We are currently getting funding on Indiegogo, so just look for the box of enlightenment on Indiegogo. Got about another 23 days to run. And then we're going to take that film to the film companies to push them to try and get the whole feature made. And really what's important is that we have a lot of supporters. So it doesn't really matter if you just put a $5 in the pot. It's basically about the number of supporters, because that's the first question they will ask is where, you know, where is your support? So that's the intention. Been a bit of a journey because I've written hate that word, don't you? Journey. But I've written the script. Took me 6 months to do that, and backs and forwards. And I'm working with Dawn Wall, who is an award-winning director, actress, lives in Denmark, but she's also up for BAFTAs and all sorts of stuff. And she put me straight, basically. And she actually said to me, you know, 1 minute of dialogue in a film is 1 page, and Gary, we're doing a 12-minute short and you've sent me 90 pages. So basically I was writing it like a book, which is what I've done in the first place. So you can't do that with film. Can't bring some random character in and not explain who they are. You have to keep the audience going. So it ends on a cliffhanger. It ends hopefully leaving people wanting more. But we should start shooting in October, November, and then it will be finished in the spring, ready for release next year. And the second book in my trilogy will come out at the same time. And other things, really, I've got a couple of exhibitions, two coming up in South Korea, which first 2 weeks of September. With Lenny Lopez and also Qatar at the end of the year, which is quite exciting. And I mean, another magazine as well, which is going out all over Asia. And talking of magazines, Flux Review. That's what happens when a bit of money falls out your pocket. Flux Review is currently being worked on, the next edition, so keep your eyes open for that. And as soon as it is out, we will be talking along those lines. Now, no sign of no sign of my guest, so I'm hoping she's going to pop back on shortly. But let me talk you through a little bit about what she does. So she was self-taught, and her artistic prowess quickly garnered attention. In 2017, her piece Magpies captivated the discerning eyes at the Atkinson Gallery, securing a coveted spot in their private collection. So that just shows you how good she is. Shortly thereafter, her talent shone brightly as she clinched the prestigious 21st NOAS Original Print Prize with her mesmerizing creation, Senegal. This accolade catapulted her into the spotlight of the UK's largest open art competition, boasting over 4,000 entrants. The winning masterpiece was showcased at esteemed venues such as Barge House, the Oxo Tower Wharf, and culminated in a triumphant display at the illustrious Pallant House Gallery, revered for its collection of modern British art. So we're talking big time artist, really. A big time artist who doesn't look like she can get her internet connection working properly just yet. So we keep our fingers crossed that she comes back, because otherwise, got an hour of me, which is not really what you want at all. So the NOA proved to be more than just a laurel on Shelley's artistic journey. It served as a springboard for her burgeoning career. But since then, she's garnered a variety of awards and accolades, graced with the walls of prestigious galleries, and left her mark on esteemed exhibitions. And it's very interesting. So each liner cut print is a testament to our artistic evolution. I've not had anybody on here as yet doing lino cut prints, and it's amazing how when I do this show, I do actually find that I've learned so much, because every artist is different. Every artist uses different techniques. So just by doing this show, I've learned an awful lot. Not something I'm going to be going into myself. I've got enough on my plate as it is. But it's quite interesting how each artist has their own way of working, which is completely different to the way that I work. It's really quite unusual sometimes as well. So we've got let's just have a look. All right, Lee, just see that you've popped up, and I've got a message from Shelley. 1 second, let's see what that says. Oh, her internet's gone down, which is not great. Oh dear, let me just 1 second get her to log in on her phone. This is not great watching, is it? The interesting thing, really, more than anything, is that once you start as an artist, if you're watching this, you're an artist. Lee, I know you're a photographer. If you're an artist or a photographer and you want to exhibit your work and you want to be pushing stuff out there everywhere, the thing that very rarely happens is an overnight success. Just doesn't happen that way. It's actually way better to perhaps just keep plodding away, is what people think. But actually, it's way better to work damn hard and keep pushing yourself, because the only way that people take notice is when you do that. And nothing's ever happened quick enough for me. It's taken me 2007 is when I actually started, and it was 2012 before I kind of plucked up the courage, and that's the best way of putting it, of starting to do exhibitions and exhibit. And that is it. I do a lot of talks all over the country, and my talk is called Reality is for People with No Imagination. And it's really to help people try and come up with some ideas for work, for a piece, without, when you haven't got that imagination to start with. That's always a difficult one to pull up on. So that's what I talk about, and often it is take a line from literature and strip away the book, but take the famous line and see what that image generates, what that line generates in your head, and that's a good starting point. But I often say to people, how many of you have got artwork sitting up in the loft? Yes, looks like Shelley is back. Yep, she is.
Hang on.
Yeah, you're good. You're back. No, you're gone again. I'll carry on. So I ask people to put their hands up if they've actually got a complete computer full of images or loads of paintings in the loft or somewhere else sitting there, and they all put their hands up because they have. And then when you say how many of them have actually exhibited them or sold them, you're lucky if one hand comes up, because you've got to have a little bit of a thick skin to be able to actually put yourself up there and say, this is what I do. Especially if you are a self-taught artist. Actually, right, looks like we're trying again, because
Honestly, technology, eh?
have you had to come home now, have you?
Honestly, yeah, no. I'm actually in the hotel. Yeah,
oh, okay.
Honestly, oh, dearie me. Anyway, I'm back. I'm back. That's what happens when you live out in the sticks.
Okay, yeah. But we need to explain to people that you do live out in the sticks, and
yeah,
the internet's not always great, but at least it's up and working now, which is all good. I've been through quite a bit of your notes, and I've been waffling on about all sorts of old nonsense while you've been gone. But let's now start. So we did a little bit at the beginning. It's working perfectly now, so that's really good. And we did a little bit of a beginning about you being a graphic designer, and that's what you did. But just recap a little bit in why linocut? Why did you end up doing that, if that's your
well, I mean, like before was sort of like the connection dropped out. My dad passed away about 20 years or so ago, and he was a great wood carver and furniture maker. And when I was clearing out his workshop, there were lots of carving tools, and amongst all this handful of tools, there were like these tiny little stubby little knives. I'm thinking, what are they? I'm not quite sure. I learned that they were lino tools. He used to use it for balsa wood, which is quite soft. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have a go at lino. I'm not quite sure what that is. I tried, had a few goes, cut myself to pieces, blood everywhere, still carried on with it. And I actually really enjoyed it, because it's when if you haven't done lino cut before, it's quite an experimental sort of like medium to work in. So you never quite know what you're going to get when you actually sort of like press your print, and you have the big reveal at the end. Yeah. So I actually quite like the experimentation of it. So I basically sort of did one called Magpies, because I didn't ever really used to do a lot of erotic sort of artwork. It was more, you know, birds and fields and trees and, you know, butterflies, all that sort of thing. And it wasn't actually until lockdown whereby I did a piece called Night In, and that was something that a lot of people were like, oh, I really like that. And that was basically because of nobody could go out anywhere, so people were dressing up and they're having parties like in the kitchen, like kitchen disco, that kind of thing, because obviously we weren't allowed to go out anywhere. And that basically was born from that. And then people were like, I really like that. And so I just kept doing more and more and more of it. And it was just something that I think sort of maybe connected with a lot of people. And that's it. I still do. I do a lot of mixed media with linocut. So it's not just linocut. I use spray paint. I have even like LEDs, light boxes, a little bit of neon sometimes, and even like cement. So cement a canvas, and then like with the linocut. So yeah, I'm sort of very much open to lots of different sort of techniques and different ways of trying to like sort of experiment with different mediums if I can. I've actually since doing a lot more with found objects as well. So linocut, and then also now it's going into a little bit of like stencil art as well. So that's always sort of, you know, just sort of keep it a little bit above the norm, I think.
Yeah. So one of the prints that you had on the wall at Flux was the Wonder Woman one. I
I'm not
am
your
not
babe.
your
Yeah.
babe. Yeah. So what is the feeling behind this then? What's the because, and also what technique have you used for this particular one?
Well, so what I mean, as a kid, I mean, a lot of my sort of like work comes from stems from memories from as a kid, as a teenager. And I was absolutely I loved Wonder Woman as a you know, like a 9, 10 year old. You know, it would be a Saturday afternoon, sort of watching, you know, watching her, or all the old matinees, that kind of thing. And I don't know, for me, she was just like literally, she was girl power before there was girl power, if you like. You
Yeah.
know, she
Yeah.
was such a strong kind of like character, such a strong image. Um, and I think that, especially now, you know, obviously the way that time has moved on, you know, the whole "I am not your babe" kind of thing. I mean, I've obviously been myself and sort of friends. I've been in situations whereby, in over time, whereby, you know, you're not sort of like seen as like sort of the strong lady, you know, strong woman, strong lady. So she's sort of representative of that. I mean, this is like mixed media, so it's there's spray paint, there's acrylic paint, there's a little bit of collage in there, so it's a whole kind of breadth of, there isn't actually any liner cut in this particular piece, but it's
No.
a whole sort of like breadth of lots of different sort of like techniques and mediums sort of within
Yeah.
it.
So I mean, you had it on the you did have this up on the wall at Flux, and it
Yeah,
was pretty powerful
yeah.
because it's quite a sizable piece as well, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. And actually, from the back of this, I'm going to be, you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm not your babe. Put it on a t-shirt." And I'm like, right, okay, that's, you know, that'll be, so watch your space. So it'll as a t-shirt, but it'll be like a slightly different kind of like, you know, clothes. But I haven't really ever sort of gone down the whole merch kind of road before, and I'm a bit dubious of doing it. I did actually do like a flick book like a couple of weeks ago, and that's like the only real kind of like, if you call it merch, kind of like the only thing that I've ever really done. I haven't ever really sort of gone down that road. I think you have to be a bit careful as well sometimes if you sort of try and do that. But yeah, I'm not your babe. She's I'm a
So well
bit
that
reluctant to part with her, actually.
well so it's, yeah, but it's an interesting thing you talk about t-shirts and stuff. So very first picture I sold, which is actually on the wall behind me,
Yeah,
very first one I sold, the lady that bought it, the first thing she said was, "You're not going to be doing calendars, teacups, t-shirts, and sweatshirt." I went, "No, why have you asked that?"
yeah,
She said, "Because I've got an original Jack Vetriano and it's in my loft because he started doing all of that, and I felt it devalued it, and I
yeah.
put it in the loft."
That's
So
exactly,
you
yeah,
do have to
exactly
be
that.
careful. You do have
I
to be
think you
careful.
do. Yeah, you do. I think
I think, yeah, and I think the thing to do is do something that's just specifically for that, not one
yeah.
of your
Not actually
pictures.
not
No,
exactly, not sort of
no, exactly.
reproduce it, but you could basically have a slogan kind of thing,
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that, but
yeah.
not the
Slogan's
actual
good.
artwork itself, because I think that will devalue it. And also,
Yeah,
you know, you think that there are collectors out there that have actually paid good money for your artwork, and
yeah.
then you're just literally just like
And
printing it and
that is
sticking it
how
on
I
a coaster or something. Do you know what I mean? I
exactly,
think you've got to be a bit
exactly. I
careful.
feel exactly the same. I did a calendar for endometriosis actually to raise money for that, and that was just a calendar. It's never become a
No.
print. I've never done any prints from it. It's just literally done as a calendar to raise money for charity. That was it. I don't do that kind of thing, but other artists do, and they make a
Yeah.
lot of money doing it. But it's just no, I'm not
Yeah,
for that.
yeah. I mean,
So
I feel exactly the same. I mean, it's you know, if it's a charity piece, then you know, that's absolutely fine. And if it's a one-off, but for, I don't know, for me personally, I have actually seen artists that do it. They put it on skateboards, you know, like printed artwork, you know, mugs, t-shirts,
yeah,
caps, you know, the whole
um,
lot. And you just think you're kind of like, you know, I think you have to be very careful sometimes to that if someone's paying awful lot of money for your work, then you don't want to be like cheapening it in some way.
well, there's an artist in America who I know, Todd Gray, and he all his work is actually on skateboards. All his work is on skateboards. Yeah, quite amazing actually. Let's talk about. So look, we start
Oh
with
yeah,
the first one, which is called Whip.
Yep.
So again, when you're putting these together, so we've got this one and the next one as well, similar sort of feel to them. What gives you the idea in the first place? Why this particular pose?
I think it's this particular one is all about like dominance, isn't it? And
Yeah.
I actually think with linocut, you can actually get a really good representation of like anything that's shiny. So if you have anything like PVC or latex or whatever, because the cuts are quite precise. I mean, obviously you've got like there's a little bit of like sort of highlights on the stomach there, and obviously across the breast, but it just lends itself really well to sort of like the shine, like a sheen on something. And you can actually make it really quite graphic. It's almost like I've never done screen print, but it's almost like sort of giving it a little bit of a screen print kind of like feel about it, kind of. I mean, obviously she was. It kind of evolves as I work on it. I mean, this was sort of created by linocut, and then it was just like left for probably about a month. And because I was thinking, well, I don't know what I'm going to do in the background, but I'd actually left the background as a block, and then I started carving out and left obviously the you can see like the spikes, if you like, in the background.
Okay.
And then taped it, masked it all out, and then basically spray painted it. But it's never like sort of just done. It's kind of like you do a bit and you leave. I leave it personally for probably about like a week, and then I'll revisit it. And it's the whole thing of like doing a critique where you hang up on a wall, you know, when I was at art college, hang up on a wall and you stamp, you know, you take a few steps back and then you look at it again, or even take a photograph of it and then look at it actually on your phone to see, which I find is actually quite a good way of trying to like look at what colours work and what don't, and what kind of like shapes work. So that would, I would say, like sort of Whip is all about sort of dominance. And she's obviously going to tell somebody, you know, they're not allowed to do something otherwise. and as I say, linocut is very much kind of like I find that with a shine, if anything's got like a shine to it, it actually works really well.
Right. So look, treat me as a complete novice because I've never seen anybody do like. I'm pretty sure I must have done a bit of it at school because it was one of those things that you kind of did.
It is.
But that was an awful long time ago. And so talk me through exactly what you need to do to then produce something like this.
Okay, so you would have some small little carving tools, linocut tools, and they can't be carving like wood carving. They have to be linocut because they have you have like different sort of like shapes for the blade. You have like a V, which is good for like line work, and you have like a gouge, which is good for scooping out pieces of linocut. Linocut is basically made of kind of like compressed cork and linseed oil mashed together. This is artist lino, by the way, not stuff on the floor. I mean, mind you, I don't know about like modern techniques. You might be able to use it nowadays, but artist lino is like cork, linseed oil mashed together, and then basically like sort of pressed into hessian, so it has a flexibility. Best to.
Okay, well, I mean that even that in itself, I didn't know that at all, so that's cool.
There you go.
Go on, sorry, carry on.
Okay, and then basically after that, then it's a case of it's always good to have like warm lino. So I also teach workshops as well. So sometimes some venues I've been in have been so cold. I used to like do it a mobile sort of workshop. Obviously, I don't need to do it now because I've got my studio. But when I did, I mean, some of the places were so cold, people would actually have to sit on the lino in order to warm it up. So warm lino, sharp tools, that's basically what you need first of all. And then basically once you're doing that, it is the case of literally mark making. So you're cutting into, not obviously too deep, but you're cutting into the lino. And anything that you cut out, when you have a roller and linocut ink, you can have water-based or sort of ink-based, water-based or oil-based, sorry, for your ink. And basically what you tend to do is you can, once you roll over the top of it, anything that isn't carved basically won't ink. So your roller will go across, it will pick up basically anything that's, any liner that's left. Then once you've done that, then you then put like uncoated. There are lots of different types of papers and things you can get, but basically, effectively, it's uncoated paper that you put over the top, and you can either basically press the paper and the ink into the lino with either a wooden spoon, which I used to use for years and years and years, or if you're lucky enough to get a press, basically a lino cut press or printmaking press.
Right.
And then basically you just peel the paper off, and then you're actually left with basically whatever you haven't cut out. But it's also it's a negative positive, and it's also back to front as well. So for instance, if you're carving out letters, if you want to say like Christmas card and say Happy Christmas, you got to do it a mirror image of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people, it's quite a lot to sort of get their head around. And also if you're doing layering as well, I mean, I do block work, so I do multiple blocks or just maybe one block and then like color it different ways. You have something called what they call a suicide cut, which is basically you have one block of lino, you carve it, ink it, carve it, ink it a different color. So you start from light to dark, and then you can build your layers up on that one piece of paper, and you can get probably about 20. If you're lucky, you get maybe about 20 sort of like different colors purely by doing that. But obviously it's suicide cut because they call it that because you can't go back. Once you've cut, that's it, and you're left with a tiny little piece of lino at the end. I do block work because it's more experimental.
So does it mean that you effectively can do more than one print then?
You could do. Thing? I mean, I don't tend to. I mean, I don't do. I think the most I've ever done is like maybe like 5, and then purely because number one, I get impatient. I don't want to be doing loads of them. I don't want to be doing loads of those. And space as well. But I mean, a lot of artists will do, like maybe like 25, run of a 25, or they might do 50, or they could do maybe 200 of the same one print, but it will be like signed and numbered. So it's a limited edition of say 20 or 50 or whatever. Whereas mine are probably more exclusive. Recently I've only been doing 1 or 2 of them, and then that's it. In the past I have done probably 5, between 5 and 10. But no, not any more than that. But as I say, purely because I get a bit bored and I go, I want right next. I want to go to the next one.
And so it's interesting because the weekend that I've just done at the Lincoln Steampunk Festival, I was interviewing Scarlet Butterfly. I've interviewed on this show, but we did a live in front of an audience interview, and I said, people often say to me, which is your favorite picture that you've done? And I always say the one I'm working on. Because once I've thought of the image and I've worked out how the hell I'm going to do it, which is the bit I love, once it's finished, I want to get on with another one. And then that becomes my new favorite. And by interviewing her about her act, because she's got so many over the years acts, it's the same thing with her. She has got a favorite act she's been doing for a good while, but her latest one is by far the best. In fact, she performed at Flux, so she was on the Lyra pole performing at Flux. But it's quite interesting.
She was absolutely amazing, I have to say, because I videoed her and she's on one of my reels. She was absolutely amazing. Yeah,
she is. She is amazing. I've been photographing her since 2015, I think. She's in loads of my work, but and again, similar thing. When you work with other people, they need to understand what you're trying to do. But with one question I have got then is also, if you are doing, say you've got your original, do you ever do any smaller prints of that in terms of a photographic print and giclée printed for people to buy, or do you just do one-offs?
I think I will do. I mean, I did a painting. I did like a series of heads, but this is it wasn't linocut. It was actually a painting. But there were 4 of them. They were seasonal, and they were painted. And then afterwards, so basically, I made giclées out of those, and then the giclées were embellished with gold leaf, and they were then sold and they were signed. But there was only I think there's about 25 of those each per head. so it's quite exclusive.
Yeah.
Again, I get bored and I don't have room, so I just
No, and
go,
but I can see, I know what you're saying as well when it comes to that. But I think that also, and I say this probably every week, is that if you do prints, you've got more chance of more people seeing your work, and that's
yeah,
that's one of those. It's just a PR thing. One thing it says on your website is that you really that in 2017 Magpies captivated the discerning eye at Atkinson's gallery, but
yeah.
also you were in the NOA original print prize. So was that like a big sort of stepping stone for you, basically?
Yeah, I mean, so the National Open Art was, I think for me, was like a real big deal. Weirdly, I had entered Cine Girl, and I didn't actually know what I'd entered. I mean, it was an open call, and I was thinking, I've never done one of these before, so I don't quite know what I'm doing. And I basically paid my money. It's open call. We paid like 25 quid or whatever it was, and I did that. And I've never done it before, and I forgot about it. And then, literally about 2 months later, I had like an email saying, "Oh, congratulations, you've been shortlisted." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I better like look at what I've been shortlisted for. Is this spam or what is it?" And then I looked a bit more into it. I thought, "Oh, okay. Well, this could be quite serious." Okay, and then I thought, "Okay, well, I'll keep an eye on it, as you do." And then literally about like another month or so went past, and they go, "Oh, by the way, congratulations, you've won. This is your invitation to come to the ceremony."
Wow, brilliant.
The rest of it. And I was like, "Is this real? Eh? What's going on? Have I actually won something then?" And I haven't won anything at all ever, But yeah, so it was kind of like it was a nice shock. But
Yeah,
from then, it was at the Barge House at the Oxford Tower in London, and then that's basically how it all kind of like sort of like happened. Really, I wasn't
yeah.
expecting anything from it, and then I started getting messages from people and galleries and things, and then it just sort of snowballed from there. So yeah, I was very, very lucky. I had like quite a lot of, and then of course I thought, oh, I better like learn how to do Instagram and all these, and get a website and sort all this other stuff out that you meant to do.
I
But
know, and that's to be honest, that becomes an absolute pain. It
oh, doesn't
becomes
it? Yeah.
almost like a second job.
Yeah, it is, and
Yeah,
people think, oh, you're just an artist, and all you do is paint. But actually, there's an awful lot more, all the admin side of it. You're up till 10, 11 o'clock at night, basically like putting more images on, doing your SEOs, and all. People are like, oh yeah, you just sell paint, you sell pictures, and
yeah.
it's a lot more to it than that.
It is a lot more to it than that. Let's have a little look at a few more pictures because we're already 38 minutes in, and so zipping along quite nicely. But again, you got this this image. So you've got quite a lot. I mean, I put this one up while you were talking
Yeah.
before, but you've got quite a lot of these, which are, as we say, a good bit of the stuff that you do. Now, what have you done? Is this just a section of that other picture, or have you done a different print from the same lino to give you a different feel to it?
No, that one is just literally like a section. So she's just been like kind of cropped in a little bit more.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I wondered if you used the same lino cut to do different sort of, by cropping
Yeah.
this, for example. Yeah, and the same is this. So would this one be? Is this the right size, or again, is this a
Yeah,
crop?
that was the right
Yeah.
size.
Okay.
That's called Throat, and that was actually exhibited at Society of Women Artists at Mal Galleries.
Oh yeah.
And I've got a fantastic shot of royalty in front of it.
Wow.
You do. Princess
Please
Michael.
don't tell me it. Please don't tell me which one it might be, because
No,
he's already in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, it's Princess Michael Kent. So it was.
Okay.
But yeah, I was like,
Crikey.
no, the camera kind of like, yeah, it was. I just caught it just right. It was brilliant. So that was quite cool. And I thought, oh, I didn't, because these art calls and stuff. I mean, I do them sometimes, but you half wonder whether, I'll just put them in for a bit of fun, just to see, how can I shock? Will they actually go for that? I don't know. They just got 50-50 chance, and actually they did, and they're brilliant. I mean, and thank you, and well done to them. Thank you, thank you, Society of Women Artists.
Look, I think there's an exhibition in London, and it might have gone past by now, but it's like an erotic, bit like one of the home shows, but it's not. It's erotica, and they do that every year. And I think sometimes it's been at Olympia. It wasn't this year. I think pops up every now and again on Facebook or one of them. But this sort of stuff is the sort of thing that people would absolutely buy at an event like that. And it's kind of, this comes down to knowing your market as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It comes down to thinking, you know what, I'll give that a go. And I make no bones about the fact that I often think that artists don't understand that you're selling a product. It's a business, and you need to have your product in the right place. I mean, even though this is not, there's something about this, isn't there? And you know what? It's there's an album cover, and I can't think of their name, but there's an album cover that's got a very similar looking type shoe and foot on it, but yours is way better. So I'll find out who that is and let you know. And I think you should send them this to say,
yeah, no, definitely.
Your next album, you want to use this.
Do definitely. Weirdly, so this piece is called Damage, because it looks like it could do some damage. And I exhibited it. I exhibited it at a local sort of exhibition. And I basically got a courier to basically to deliver it for me. And it turned out, I basically got to the other end, and damage was damaged. I mean, it was, and actually, when they took a photograph of it, it looked actually quite cool. And I was like, because all the glass had smashed, and all the bubble wrap and everything, and all the sides and everything, it was all kind of, but it actually looked really quite cool. And I thought, you know what, that's actually just a piece of artwork just in itself. Maybe I couldn't actually get it, like sort of basically repaired, but I mean, I did, because obviously they wouldn't have hung it. But yeah, so there's a little tale behind damage. Damage was actually damaged.
Yeah, but this is a very sellable piece. And this is one that I would seriously think, if it was me, I would be thinking, I think I might produce a number of these, because it's a very, very sellable piece without question. But I don't see any men. Do you do men, or do you just stick with women? Because I'm asked this question as well.
Yeah, I think I did have a bit of a go at sort of trying to sort of do some liner cut for men, and or of men, I should say. But I don't know. For me, it's a bit. It's the curves. I mean, I think anybody who does like life drawing will know that sometimes it's actually the female form. You have like a lot more to sort of like sort of. There's a lot more. It's just all the curves and everything. It's just, I don't know. It just has that kind of like feel about it. I mean, that's Night In. That's the one that was born from lockdown.
Right.
Yeah. Basically dressing up at home. Having a kitchen disco basically, rather than just wearing your joggers and your old t-shirt. So I put some heels on.
You put your Louboutins on. Well, isn't it interesting that what you've just alluded to there, which is it is about knowing your market, but it's also about knowing the right exhibition to put your work in. It's not, I've put stuff in, and when I do my talk, I have two talks. One is with the naked stuff that I do, and one is without. And I wasn't doing that at all. 10 years, never did two. But I had one complaint from someone that was watching it online,
Oh,
one
really?
complaint, and that I should have given a trigger warning. So now I have two, and I ask which one they want to see. But then the question I'm asked a lot is, where's the men? Why do you only photograph women? And the answer is exactly what you've just said, which is the curves. It's the
Yeah,
curves. It's much more aesthetically pleasing.
yeah,
And I'm a shape. It's shape for me, and everybody that I work with, all the people that I work with are completely used to it, because 90% of them are burlesque dancers anyway, so they completely understand
yeah,
the shape that I'm trying to get for, and that's the thing. And it's those curves. Doesn't
yeah,
matter. Doesn't matter as long as the shape is looks good in
yeah,
terms of the curve that you're after. It doesn't matter, you know, what shape the person actually is, as long as it fits what I've got in my head for the shot.
yeah.
But quite
No,
interesting.
definitely.
So I've
Yeah,
got
no,
another.
definitely. It's definitely the curves, and I think also, I mean, I think obviously being female myself, and I've got like daughters. It's that whole kind of thing of like, a little bit of, bit of strength there as well, the whole
Yeah,
femininity, and that, so it does sort of resonate. I mean, I wasn't sort of like going out to sort of like we just do females at all. And as I said, I mean, I have actually tried the male form as well, but it just seems that, I don't know, I'm sort of like just drawn to the whole, like the curve, especially when you carve things and everything. You've got that flow, and it just to me, it just sort of feels like
so
a more
yeah, and
natural
you can
thing
see
to do.
that with this, and it's interesting. Particularly this one, because um, I think Janet Cawthorne was in the same little row as you at Flux. She does these big faces, and I had her on my on here. We were talking about faces, and she said that if I'm doing a portrait as a photographer, eyes sell pictures. This
Yeah,
is why this one draws you in for the same reason. Hers, the eyes follow you around the room. It's a bit
yeah,
disconcerting, but she works in a way where her thought was, at what point is a face no longer recognizable as a face? So you need certain features to do that. But this looks like that this is part of a tarot set that you've done.
yeah. So
Yeah.
this is just basically like a little bit of fun. But I mean, these are actually they're quite big. So they're sort of like smaller. I mean, the actual originals are smaller.
Mm.
They're probably about what size are they? About A3. But they're actually then basically printed onto huge, great big substrates. And the substrate, which is about like a meter high,
Oh
by
wow.
about 55, I think it is, wide, about 50
Mm.
wide, meter high, about 50 wide. And then they're like embellished, so they have like a little bit of gold leaf and other bits and pieces added to them.
Mm.
But yeah, so that's like something which is like relatively new, which has been done the last sort of month or so, I suppose. But yeah, someone said to me ages and ages ago, why don't you do some tarot cards? And it was this is probably like about a year or so ago, and I was like, well, I don't quite know where to start with that. And sometimes it's like you have like these ideas and these thoughts, and then like it's not until you find the right artwork you go, actually, yeah, I could actually use that, and that could kind of like, maybe we'll just turn it into something else. I do tend to have a lot of artwork which has been sitting around in a plan chest for probably the best part of like 2-3 years maybe.
Right.
um, and then every now and again I'll sort of like have a look through and sort of like try and draw out what I've got and what I can use. So yeah, so this one was something that was an idea probably about a year or so ago to make into tarot cards.
So we've got, and this is something completely different, to be fair,
Yeah,
to what we've been looking at.
yeah.
Um, and also, I'm going to bring your a website up too. So not only is that, but so is this one. This is
Yeah.
different as well.
Well, weirdly, because I obviously teach, I also teach linocut workshops, and well, actually creative workshops, but predominantly linocut. But this was actually from somewhere which I had like a piece of cardboard hanging around in my studio, as you do, and I'm using the cardboard to sort of like try and save the floor
Right.
so it wouldn't get like obviously marked or whatever. I mean, even though it's like a concrete floor. Anyway, I'm using this piece of cardboard, and this is actually not the second, it's not the first time this has happened. I've had like other few bits and pieces where I go like, oh, I'll just use a big piece of cardboard just to protect the floor, and it's had a boot print on it, it's had resin, it's had spray paint, you name it, and I've just experimented and put like, this is a stencil that I cut a while ago, and I literally just put the stencil over the top and just, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that works. And then, yeah, as sure as anything, someone then comes in and goes, oh, can I buy that? I'm like, yeah, but it's a bit of cardboard that I've literally just experimented with, and it's got my boot prints on it. Do you want this? This is one of those. This is like literally a happy experiment that kind of like I didn't really realise until someone said, oh, I really like that. Is that for sale? But there has been previous ones as well, which have literally just been created unknowingly, and they go, I have that. Like, can you sign it? Okay, you say so. Crazy.
Right. Well, I'm bringing we've got a few minutes left, so I'm bringing your website out, which is got some huge amount of work on it, to be fair, which is all quite amazing, and quite different. I mean, although your technique is obviously the same in certain things, because obviously you're using, as you said, you're using aerosols, a bit of cement as well, and everything else, but it's very clearly your style, and that's the thing I think we all strive for, is to come up with, you know, something that's our style. So I have put a couple of times, I've put the link up on to link to your website for people to go to and have a look at, but here you got this little top shelf bit here, which is quite all right. We can actually jump into
it's top shelf, but it's not too.
It's not
too
no.
really.
It's not too top shelf at all. In fact, but there, you know, you can see what you've done here too, which is. And you can understand as well why people would want to want to own a piece. So it's quite interesting, and really cracking. This one resonates with me, and I'll tell you why. It's nothing to do with the dragon tattoo. It's to do with the tape across the nipples. Now, I was doing a Comic Con. Now I can't remember the name. It's gone straight out of my head. There's a character.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a character that is that people come dressed as. Particularly, well, obviously, a woman will come dressed, and she's playing a war. Somebody in the war, got a proper war hat on, army fatigues, but obviously the top's all open, and then two pieces of tape. It's a particular character. If anybody knows who that is, they'll probably comment underneath. But it's a particular character. But the first time I saw it, I was like, "What the hell?" And in fact, the very first Comic Con I ever did, people halfway through the day saying, "Gary, if you don't close your mouth, you're going to end up with a sore throat," because some of the things that, you know, they wear is quite amazing. Now, Paolo, I don't know if you saw him at Flux, because he didn't. He didn't comment, but he's commented, nice one, I love it. Paolo is brilliant. He often watches. I've interviewed him on here as well. He's a fantastic artist, got a very big following. He's a very cool dude, and he always puts stuff on here. And Lee Churchill, who's put the fact that they did t-shirt prints at school using linocut. So and Lee watches pretty much every week as well, which is great. It's quite it's quite interesting, I think. And look, I could probably talk to you for another flipping hour about how your process is and how you come up with the ideas, because one thing I've not said is, you know, take that girl with a dragon tattoo image that we've just seen, and it's this one here. So take that image. What is it? You know, where did that idea actually come from?
So I think there was another artist that that I know that was basically getting I sort of like banned on Instagram for some of her artwork,
Yeah.
and it was a little bit saucy, but it wasn't. She'd have like censor across everything. She'd have tape and everything, and I was thinking, oh well, okay, well I'm going to produce a piece of art, because obviously this particular piece was created after Next. The artwork, which is called Next, which has the lady with the red gloves, and she's holding them up as if to say, right, okay, come on, next. So this was created after that one. And I was like, well, you know what, I'm just going to put the sensor, I'm going to put the sticky tape over the top anyway, because obviously, you know, if I'm going to get banned, well, I'll defy you to ban me if I've already got tape on there anyway. So that's a bit my little bit of anarchy, you know, like sort of setting in. It's sort of, you know, if I do it anyway, well then, can you do it to me? I don't know. I mean, maybe after this they probably will. I don't know.
No, but what's interesting about that is if you put censored across a bum or blur out.
We've all got one. Let's face it.
Well, we've all got one, and funny enough, we've all got nipples. Some are different, but we've all got them. And the ridiculous part about that is that if you blur them out, there's no problem.
Yeah.
If you put censored across, then there seems to be a problem. They will ban you and take that picture off. You can't use it, which doesn't make sense because you've blocked it out and it's not there. But it's the fact you've put the word censored across it is not apparently. Again, there was an artist at Flux. She showed me. She's 4 pictures banned, and nothing was showing. She had wow across here, and like she had things like that across, but they banned it. And it's, you know, it's double standards all the time, because this is what gets me is some of the stuff that's on Instagram. You think, why has that not been banned? How can these people get away with it? And then you put a piece of art on, and it's art, and that gets banned. And hers a painting. You know, they're not real people.
No, exactly. I think probably because the girl with the dragon tattoo, I think she was basically, because I haven't actually drawn attention to it. I mean, obviously I have now because I'm on talking to you, but because at the time I hadn't drawn attention to it, and it's already been on Instagram and Facebook or whatever. You know, because it's already got the stickers and it's already got the tape on there. You know, it kind of sort of, you know, like sort of dropped through that kind of like filter, I suppose.
It is a strange one, and it's not. I find it difficult, and where I find it difficult is that I don't know the difference between it being a business page on Instagram and being a personal one, and maybe that's the difference between the two. But I absolutely don't know what the answer is. It seems to be a little bit tricky, and I can remember. So I've got a picture where the woman in it is wearing a pair of steampunk pasties.
Right.
And it's been on display in the Louvre. It's not it's not a picture. It's been on display in the Louvre, so it's, you know, it's obviously a decent picture. It had 400 comments on it on Facebook when I first put it on overnight, but the comments weren't about the picture. The comments were, how were they fixed? And I mean, it was boob tape. It was the only way we could stick them on because they're quite heavy. It's boob tape. Now the thing is, when someone put, I think they might be stapled on, I thought, okay, this is going really in a dodgy direction. But that was not taken off Facebook until one woman in Australia put in a complaint about it, and there was nothing to see. There was absolutely nothing to see other than, you know, very striking Gothic woman with the steampunk pasties on. But you feel some people just, you know, they need to understand the difference between art and pornography. I think they just need to grasp it, what it is. And erotic, I mean, your work is clearly erotic. It's clearly very clever. But it's also one of those things where it really helps if you are at an exhibition selling your work, because you're the one who knows the most about what you do.
Yeah,
And
no,
so,
definitely.
yeah.
And I think actually Flux was it was my first time actually like exhibiting at Flux. So I didn't know quite what to expect. But it was great because obviously it's all about networking and raising the profile a little bit, and it's basically just literally just like talking to people, and it's good practice as well, because I think sometimes artists, you know, they literally bury themselves away and they're kind of like sort of working on the art and everything, and that's great. But also you kind of like need to then like sort of connect with other people, other artists, and get feedback and then bounce off from each other. Do you know what I mean? So I think that
Well,
was
yeah.
really good in that respect.
I had I had one of my pictures at the previous Flux. Somebody came in on, I think it was the last day, and it's a big picture and it was a lot of money. But it's basically it's two women walking down the street with loads of people kicking off all around them because they're naked, and so it's two bums in the middle with all these people. It's called Chaos, and it's totally chaos, and it's from my second book, so it's part of that story. And he was really, it's a big 4-foot print, desperately wanted it, but his wife was standing there with face like thunder. So he goes off. I'm going to come back, let you know one way or another. And off he goes, and he comes back and he said, look, I think I'll be divorced if I buy it. And another artist standing next to me said, well, there's hope then. But Paolo came up to me and went, Gary, you need to have some chocolates on your stand. You should have given the woman some chocolates. You'd have had her eating out of your hand if you could. So off he went and came back with a box of Quality Street, gave it to me and said, keep this for next. Absolutely brilliant. But that's the thing. The more exhibitions like that, more fluxes and things like that you do, you become part of the family. They call it, you know, Flux family. Everybody knows each other. We all help each other out. It's a brilliant exhibition to do from that point of view as well. But also sometimes you end up doing a bit of collaboration, which is cool. You know, I've done a couple of collaborations with artists from Flux. It's nice to sometimes do something with someone else as well. So look, that's our hour, just gone over the hour. Don't rush off. I know you're sitting in the hotel or don't rush off. Let me just wrap this up, and we'll just have a quick chat afterwards. But
No worries.
Paolo, he's just heard me say about the chocolates. But look, he understands that this is a business. You know, we are selling our art. It's a product. And any tool that you can use, whether it's a box of Quality Street or something else, any tool that you can use to sell is a great one. But also, however, the converse of that for me is I wouldn't have been happy really if he had bought it and she didn't like it.
Yeah.
You know, that's and in fact, one of the sayings I absolutely hate hearing, because it happens a lot, is a man will stand in front of a piece of my work and go, oh God, I've got to have it. And I'll just run it past my wife. I know I'm never going to see him again. I think, okay, she's not going to like this. Bye. But anyway, look, thanks, Shelley. Thanks so much for coming on. I've really enjoyed it. I've learned a lot. Didn't know anything about lino cutting at all. It's absolutely superb. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope we eventually got the old internet stuff sorted out.
I know.
Sorry
That's what happens when you're in the countryside, you see.
Yeah, sorry
But
for me.
no, thank you for inviting me. Anyway, no, it's been great, and it's been lovely to speak to you as well. So
Brilliant. So
hopefully see you at the next Flux. Fingers crossed.
Yes. Okay. Just wait. Hang on. Let me wrap this up, and we'll just have a quick chat afterwards. But thanks very much. Brilliant.
Thank you.
So there you go. Well, I knew it would be good. It's just a shame that that the internet packed up right at the beginning, and Shelley had to go into the hotel above her studio or near her studio and pick up on their Wi-Fi. Typical. You do all the preparation, you do all the check-in, and make sure everything's going to work, and then off it goes. It's happened before. We had a baby crying there in the background. I've had a market trader all the way through one where I was interviewing somebody who was in Peru and the market trader was out the window. I've had a dog walking around with a squeaky toy. So it's never a dull moment when I do this show. But look, thanks very much. Next week's show, all being well, everything should happen. I should be able to be interviewing Lenny Lopez live from the K-Art Seoul exhibition, which is in South Korea. So we're keeping our fingers crossed and we get the timings right. If it's not going to work out time wise, then we will pre-record it, and so it does go out next week. But in the meantime, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you soon.